Hi, my name is Dan Schultz, and this is a short PowerPoint video, about 15 slides, explaining how President Trump could guarantee a Trump victory in 2020 by using his bully pulpit to unify the Republican Party by recruiting Trump supporters to fill the party's 200,000 vacant precinct committeeman slots. That's over half of the slots. About half of the slots are vacant. That would Trumplify the party, and then he could use all of those people along with the existing precinct committeemen, the other 200,000, to help get to the polls, all of those lower information, lower propensity Trump voters who need that extra little nudge to get to the polls and actually vote. So all the resources needed for this strategy already exist. The key is the candidate himself, President Trump. He needs to make this request of his Trump supporters, and he can do that through GOP Data Center by identifying those people he wants to become precinct committeemen. He's got campaign snail mail capabilities. He's got campaign email capabilities, and he's got other campaign social media capabilities to do this. This slide shows what our party is like right now, the Republican Party. It's at war with itself, and it's at half strength. So at the precinct level, at the level where all of the power resides with the precinct committeemen, there's about 100,000 of, I call them the others. There's about 100,000 conservative Trump precinct committeemen, but about 200,000 of these slots are vacant. That's a huge opportunity. Because of this split between the others and the Trump conservative precinct committeemen, when the elections are held for the local committees, the county committees, the state committees, and the national committee, what happens? There's a split in the people who are running those committees, and it's always about a 50-50 split. That can change dramatically if we fill the 200,000 vacant slots, and I'll show that in the next slide. So if President Trump would use his bully pulpit as the nominal head of the party and ask his Trump supporters to become precinct committeemen to fill those 200,000 slots, the party would now have a 3-to-1 advantage of Trump precinct committeemen over the other precinct committeemen. And when it came time for the elections of the officers of the committees, the local committees, the county committees, the state committees, and the national committee, what we would find is we would have Trump supporting people running those committees. One can think of this as the art of the precinct. It's how you, as a Trump supporter, can easily help make America great again where you live by becoming a precinct committeeman for Trump. The ultimate goal is to have every precinct committeeman slot in the Republican Party filled with a Trump supporter. And President Trump can make that happen by letters, by emails, by text messages, etc., from candidate Trump himself. So these are the Trump supporters that I would target. It would be the 45 to 65-year-old perfect voters, those who have always voted in the last two general and last two primary elections. These people are soon to be empty nesters or may be retired, and they have a little bit of time on their hands. And the message needs to come from President Trump himself, candidate Trump, and the message will explain why it's vital to do this for him and how easy it is and how it only takes a few hours to be effective. And what we would do is marry up these recruits with their local committee chairman either at the local district level or the county level, and perhaps even with a precinct captain if one exists. Again, this message would come from candidate Trump, and some of us have already done this in our own precincts, like I have, where I've had a pretty good success rate, but my success rate would be much higher, I would think, if the message actually came with the blessing of candidate Trump, that it came from candidate Trump himself asking his Trump supporters to please become a ball player in the party, a precinct committeeman, to help get out the vote. So when one hears the words Republican Party, what is conjured up in one's mind is I think most people think the party apparatus is full. It's like a full glass. In reality, our party looks like this. About half of the precinct committeeman slots are vacant nationwide. Here in Arizona, where I live, right now across the state of Arizona, only 43% of our precinct committeeman slots are filled. One of the key things that precinct committeemen do is they try to get to the polls all of the people who don't normally vote. They're good, decent people. So this busy chart shows this across the middle, this wall of political indifference. Those of us who are clued into politics, we listen to Twitter, we read it, we look at Facebook, we listen to talk radio, Fox News, and we get campaign literature and we pay attention to it, and we think everybody else does too. But in a typical midterm, turnout is only about 40%, as we saw in the 2018 midterms. So 60% of the voters don't really pay much attention to all of this stuff above the wall, and then below the wall, that's where they reside. They don't listen to everything, and the only way you're going to get those people to go vote is to make a personal contact with them, and that's where the precinct committeemen come in. So I believe that if President Trump would make the ask, as people like to say now, make the request of his Trump supporters to become precinct committeemen, this is what it would look like every month outside the typical monthly Republican committee meeting. There'd be a line out the door of Trump supporters trying to get in to help President Trump. I wrote a book about this back in 2017. This is the cover, the catchy title of How to Get into the Real Ball Game of Politics Where You Live to Help President Donald J. Trump Make America Great Again. And it's basically all about how and why to become a precinct committeeman to help get out the vote. It's real simple. It's basic American civics. This chart depicts graphically what precinct committeemen do. Essentially, working from the top, what precinct committeemen do in Arizona is they elect the local district committee officers. They elect the county officers directly. They elect state committeemen, who in turn elect the state committee officers. There's one state committeeman for every 3 precinct committeemen. And then they also elect the state convention, presidential nominating convention delegates, who in turn elect the national committeeman and the national committee woman. And as I said, the state committeemen elect the state chairman. Those 3 people, the national committeeman, the national committee woman, and the state chairman, serve on the RNC. Precinct committeemen do this, and they do it in every other state as well. The terminology varies from state to state, but that's how powerful precinct committeemen are. And about half of these slots are vacant, and the party doesn't want you to know this. So again, the goal is to get President Trump to cause every precinct committeeman slot in the Republican Party to be filled with a Trump supporter if possible. Half of the slots are vacant, and he can make that happen if he will use his campaign, the letters, the emails, the text messages, the other messaging at the rallies, to ask his Trump supporters to become precinct committeemen. And here we are at our last slide, and here are some resources. There's a link there to my book on Amazon. If you just Google Trump, Schultz, politics, make America great again, you'll find the book. The precinctproject.wordpress.com is my blog where I've compiled information as much as I can find on the internet about precinct committeeman resources for every state. We have a Right Lane Network site with a PC portal. There's the link there. Richard Vigory's book wrote about the precinct committeeman strategy from a prior book that I had written, and there's my contact information. Thanks for listening.